Good morning, beloved of God.
I tell Christ a message.
We want to receive the word from the Lord. And it's what God has spoken and has been written down for us is what we want to share. In most cases, we have been listening and hearing so much of this. But it is in the plan of God to keep echoing, repeating, letting us to know and remember so that we cannot depart from what He really wants from us. There is something that I want us to be reminded, in which I believe that is what we are to know as Christians. Let's read in the book of James chapter 3 verse 15. I would like somebody to read in the book of James chapter 3 verse 15.
This wisdom descended not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish.
So this wisdom is not from above, but it is earthly. Brethren, I want us to talk and look at what we call the wisdom of men. The wisdom of men is the topic, is what we are going to remind ourselves of. The aim of this is for us to be aware that in the midst of the wisdom or wisdoms, we have the wisdom of men. So that as Christians, we will take note. You know, when somebody tell you to be aware of something, there is something specifically about that thing that you have to know about it. So when we know what the wisdom of men is, we will know exactly where to place it, and in prioritizing our things, we will know where to position it. So the topic, the wisdom of men, is specifically aiming at helping us to be aware of the wisdom of men in case we have forgotten it. Wisdom men there in the Bible, according to that James that we just read, is the earthly experiences, what we can have while in this flesh that we are. So when I talk about, or when I make mention of the wisdom of men, it is what is referred to in the Bible as the earthly wijsdom, earthly experiences. So for us to be aware, it will help us to know if we are to stick to it or if we are not to stick to it as something that needs to be used as a Christian. So we want to look at what Paul talked about the wisdom of men in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 13, which I would like somebody to read. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 13 to 14.
Verse 13 down says, "This is what we speak, not in words taught." Sorry. "This is what we speak, not words taught by the spirits, expressing spiritual truths in spirit words. This man without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him. and he cannot understand them because they are spiritually discerned.
There are things that seems to be foolishness or foolish to men, but this is a wise statement. This is a wisdom that is from God.
Adoke ba na bose ba monowo o iko ke wotang na ye ba teri kon ton anom me bot iko ro se ri ko ke ado ta panifio ken kan ke bas.
Another reason that we should look at these so that we can note it, spot it out at every circumstance that we see ourselves in life is that most of the wisdom of men that we are talking about, they resemble that of God.
Adoke mboten anaten ni dio mo adoke tawa ini ifio me wo ke ni se ke dese iseki kop ase ba te bo ke ado nye ke basit atang ni.
Another thing is that whenever this wisdom of men is carried out or manifests itself, it seems to be a solution, something that is working. And in this working manifestation, people will seem to believe that this is what we should place priority on.
Adoke ruwa ini ifio me wo me ma ado nye ke tepeke anyo pun ase ba te bo ke ro paniko ruwa ini ni si kan ni ye me ribo ke ye ro pa ibe na yin me pa ibe ne ke basin me yogi ba.
But what is actually the wisdom of men? What is actually the wisdom of men? That is foolishness in the sight of God. What is actually, how can we see it? How can we know it that this is foolishness? Because a situation that something that somebody introduced to you is working or seems to be working, and it's a system that is in organized form that does not have to look like something that you should reject, how would you be able to detect and spot it out that this is not good to you as a Christian? That is why we are to look at it characteristically, the wisdom of men that we are talking about, how it appears or how it looks, how it manifests itself, and where it is leading to. So if you can spot it out, seeing it the way God sees it, understanding it the way God wants us to understand it, it is simply what will help us to differentiate it from the wisdom of God, so that we can make a good decision of where to follow. Before I will start to bring out how I categorize them, characteristically, I want us to know that wisdom is different from knowledge. In secular studies, when they want us to understand, because when you want to understand something, it's not good that something be thrown to you like that. That thing has to be bisected, and they will have to look into how they are being connected to each other. Before you have wisdom, there must be what we call knowledge. And knowledge comes from information. When you are informed, you have knowledge.
And
in secular studies, how they plan, organize these things so that we know how to carry on, apply them, it is led to know that knowledge is the information, while the wisdom we are talking about, wisdom in the sense is the application of the knowledge.
Then aforinam what riben yen sangeri nama apply adi ifyo.
The Bible refers to wisdom the way that we do things, the way that we want to act on things, and the ideas that is behind everything that we are doing.
Ngoraba second Effiom ote nanganjani nambo me ntum senega ni chapisan nena iruwe mneba.
Is therefore telling us that if you have knowledge, or you can have knowledge, and when you don't practice the knowledge, you don't have wisdom. That means you are not wise.
Amege me ni Effiom, parado ke fumo be ni Effiom kami sangeri nanam. Ado ke fubugo ni amege me ni ike. Ado mo be ni ike do sangeri nanam. Ado ke fubugo ni Effiom.
Ikike in that sense is that when you have the information that you are being informed of a particular thing, this is how you should do this thing, or something happens some way, you are being informed. Now, for you to apply the information that you have received into action, like making it to guide you, that is when you experience wisdom.
Ado na fo nam bomi, afo mebo Effiom, amebo etubomi. Abeni sangeri nanam. Ado ke foma sanga go songa ke yemi afo. Ayonga bo Effiom me nyonga nanam. Ado ya wono fini Effiom.
So the wisdom of men that we are talking about, which help us to do so many things, and we somehow believe it to be a solution to so many things that we are doing in life, is a way of life. Meaning that before we acquire this way of life, we might have had some certain information concerning what we are doing.
Ado Effiom me woga nyini seki beni sometimes ibeni sani nam bomi. Ado Effiom ga nyini ke boro. Ini ibeni san ibeni apply ina memko.
One of the example of how we got some information and we try to apply them in our daily life is the statement that ayinero kororubo.
Yusogini ibisi itangai ko yung ibeni san ikike nyini bo ibeni san Effiom isi ma itangai ko iboke ayinero aro kororubo.
Meaning that when a child grows to a certain state, the mother will no longer, or the father will no longer have to be receiving or collecting some or giving out to the child. Instead, the child will have to be feeding the parents.
Adoke rieke toko yene baga ama buniga ge wo inike ko anyaya ado anyekeri yeme nko yeme wa mitom mete moba ado yene America naro monak anyeke benne ben body for ani wa mete mo.
At a state of knowledge, you are told now, being practical, when you are nurturing your child, when you are trying to guide your child in whatever that you are doing to invest in the life of your child, you are expecting that the child one day will have to be the one that is providing for you. This is the nature of the wisdom of man. And this is how it emanates itself. This is the metamorphosis. This is how it comes. Start from the information that you receive, and you are being practicalizing it by trying to have a certain mindset that will lead you to be trying to do that thing. And when you are doing these things successfully, it is not because God said that you should guide the child. It is as a result of that, this child one day will take care of me and will be the provider instead of God.
Ado Effiom ikon ni segi maitang ayinero korado bok ado Effiom awo ge siogo di ni nyongi mominam nyongi apply anyeke uwemnyan nyongi nam memko ami adi Effiom awo ido Effiom.
Now if we want to weigh the wisdom of men or wisdom of man in this aspect, does it really mean that all the children that we are giving birth to will come back to look after us? Is it true?
Abwe ni Effiom mesan ge skele se ya kat kiro ka tabra verni to ga ni seki ibo ga ni mo ke chusong esero ni mono ke rito yo kenyan o ri sero ko ibangan.
I'm asking like a question. Just look at your family, look at people around you. Don't look at yourself. Look at people. Is it truly that the children that they had or they have is the one that is taking good care of them? But me, I can boldly say of a particular woman that ever since the children grown up, none of them is taking care of.
Aro mbe me sege family mfo me aba awoke abo kan tukoy na mo maman tukoy na mi iri toyo ke mo ami meto yo wan ke ko akedo go ma bong tukoy na mo don ado ke mfene mi tori toyo ke ni ngi ise mo ibanga.
Now, is this not a failing system?
Ado ndemi dogo anyeke abeni reward.
Because from the information, we will be guided and we'll be having a mindset of doing such a thing. And when this thing does not happen the way we want it, we are frustrated. If you are a Christian, what position are you taking? Are you in this kind of wisdom operating?
Ado nyini sinamko ibeni fiok mewe ibeni sinamko obo betemba mekuro fodo awo basi o fodo yike kenege Christ me afumi kene benoto fiok medo yike namamko.
Another aspect that you can see the wisdom as it will manifest itself right from the information that will be given to you, which is the body of knowledge, to the wisdom level, which is the application of that information, the knowledge that you have received, is that people believe that
okay, ayong po mfene ke minje me ya fokat ado ke imisi mari tangibo who started first will be the first to reap. So if you ayemi ado if you mewo ya isi seke ngwere basi.
Now examine yourself. Is it everything that you go early, very early, you wake up in the morning and you try to put everything in place together and run, and in fact you meet the first keke that just woke up and you run to meet? Is it that thing that is helping you, or were you the first person that started to benefit from any of those businesses that you were doing, or had there not been some other person that came late and received even more than what you received? There are so many information like these that we have received, but if we want to be honest to ourselves, we will see that this is a failing situation. It's a failing system, and we cannot continue with this kind of life. The Bible calls us the wise or the wisest people because we have received so much information that, or so many information that we are supposed to be those people that practice things, and we will be devoid of, we will be able to avoid so much things that would have happened to us if we did not have this information. But the reverse is the case. We are still experiencing even what the people that did not have the information are experiencing. What is a shame. So in characteristical way of trying to see the wisdom of men and why we should consider it or leave it alone, ignore it, we see that this wisdom of men, it is insufficient. It is not enough. No matter how somebody will start to speak in his experience, from knowledge we learn that from reasoning. You have empirical, you have rational. When somebody has experience, and this experience moves this person to speak from the experience, this thing is not enough, no matter how well the person has been able to speak to your understanding. Even in reasoning, there are people that will say that I can just sit down and understand that thing the way it's going to be. This is true that God has given us the ability, but all this thing is limited to what is happening here, which does not go far, and it's not enough for a Christian to survive.
Okay, if you may work in Yitang Bangami, Ido Yaki Kemenyan, intend the Tobas and Yakaman Kaman Nampo, and give a video at least so you get spiritual life.
So it is not sufficient. That is why we are looking at it, and at the end of it, we will know whether to consider it or not.
Okay, Waki came, and Yantevo, then the Tobas, and I do say, may it by even or make by two or
we can see that in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 13 to 15. The wisdom of men, it's not enough. It's not enough because it only comes from the sensual. It only comes from what somebody experienced here. which is limited to the senses organs. Whatever that the person cannot experience, the person will not be able to tell you.
Okay, ngore research is tangin on nyan aboke ifyomi ike menyan. Aro nyan tewo nyini soki si momi kama anata nyini itobi fyok me we work nyini beni fyok abasi.
Another thing is that it is deceptive in nature. It is deceptive in nature is that, take for instance, if I heard that uba ukaru uba unyong or uba utoru uba udia, I mean in the morning I had to plan and wake up early in the morning and rush to meet up. At the end of the day, in fact, I mean, walk for and yes, what I am. In fact, I want motor young and Wakawagade. Apo quick came former Banico, came in song Nam Kaison Nam.
If you me would on yaki yang away titi. In that one boke, ideke mimbo ke mamba or ma bangdaka. Imbo yangang kenambo, ado, awum fin mona nara ya. The negera kada, and you don't yake namam boron can mean for Kimerinum ke if call me or if you me womero panico.
It is deceptive in nature. Look at how people are calling themselves prophets, prophetess. Somebody that is looking for what to eat will tell you that is going to provide for you and is going to make you problem free. Is going to promise you so many things. And even in your own trials, problems that you are experiencing, you still keep on believing that this is true. But this is deceptive in nature.
I don't go if you me woni, I don't go ke yang me wodong kara. I don't care what could it prophet. That's all you boss area. Mfana mamona. Yenzo go fentem ki mo yena mi apa work mfana ya kun ya kun. Ado ke format kanyene se ayunga ben sengore ba setanga ya ri okay ado bianga.
The nature of this wisdom of men can lead to destruction. As we see in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 5, it leads to destruction.
If you me wo benenye o kike me wo benenye sangeri nam aya wen fina kan sobo kenyini ka degen with current.
How is it leading you to destruction? Because everything that this person is telling you is from what the person itself does not know.
Ado when you can so after when was a more coffee, Ado Mpoke media banga Nangari giver.
What do I mean by the person does not know? Take for instance that somebody will be telling you that you are not going to die. Even the people that are dead, most of them, they might have been a prophet that told them that they are not going to die. There are evidence everywhere that we should know that these things are not true. And it is leading us from the foundation that they have. It is leading us astray. Because it will not allow us to listen to what is true. Have you not been heard that somebody told somebody that the person is not going to be sick and the person was sick till death? Or have you not heard that somebody told somebody that you will not have accident on the way and the person got accident and died? Now, whatever that is concerning about this information that was given to this person, what makes you think that it will lead the person to the salvation in Christ? So all these things they are telling them, they are telling people, they are telling you, if you hearken to it, that they can be satisfied with the flesh. And the Bible says that this is earthly. This is how the flesh, here. This is what they want them to tell you, and that is how they should deceive you, and it will lead you to destruction. The last but not the least, but we have to consider is that one of the outstanding thing or reason or the nature of this wisdom of men is that God consider it foolishness.
Ado ke mufiok me womi amne mi don te akwatre appoint ke mention tang ado ke ngore ba seket ifiok me womi ti kon ton ti fiok ton ti mona ke mini kike.
If you are a true Christian and God look at something and say this is nonsense, and you try to address that thing as something that is making sense, who are you?
Ade apunde yina basi bo fien ken pom me nonsense foka na ke be polish me mbom to da roko basi ke mbom me fon u mbom me foro ni ewo.
If you happens to be somebody that is under somebody and you learn the way of this person, you know what this person honor, you know what this person respect, you know what this person give heed to, you know all the things that this person can give recognition, and you happens to be obedience person in that house or under his cover, you don't recognize these things, you don't know them, that means you are not a good servant or you are not governed by that person. So the Bible has led us to understand, as we are going to read in the book of 1 Corinthians again, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, I would like us to read to 25. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 18, from verse 18 to 25.
1 Corinthians chapter
We will see what the wisdom of God is to us, which will help us to gently differentiate it from what the wisdom of man. Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter.
Verse 18. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing.
The message of the Lord. The message of the Lord is what? Of cross is foolishness to who? To those that are what? The message there is just like the information that we talk about. When you are informed, you have the body of knowledge, and from that information, that is what you will practice. So I would like us to read to that 25. Read to
25.
For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, the intelligence of the intelligent I will frustrate. Where is the wise man? Where is the scholar? Where is the philosopher of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since in the wisdom of God, the world through its wisdom did not know him, God was pleased through the foolishness of what was preached to save those who believed. Jews demand miraculous signs, and Greeks look for wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles. But to those whom God had called both Jews and Greek, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. Verse 25.
Yes. 25.
For the foolishness of God is wiser than man's wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than man's strength.
Nyama ya iko 25 okay, iko ifo.
I would like the epic version of that particular chapter and verses to be read.
Please, no, Mike, no man aku listen.
25. Koro di semake abasi edi onion kan owo. Mmeke abasi oyun oso kan owo.
What we are seeing there is that no matter how people will look at the message of God to be something that is silly, doesn't look reasonable, that is the power of salvation to those that want to be saved.
Ami kera nyini gbe kadinte ntewo kadna iko basi o etobo ke basi se ina ron nyane gbe baba amero ri nyanga ano monowo ake yemeri boko.
In the book of James chapter 3 verse 14 down to 18, we will see that so many things arises from our heart. When this thing manifests itself, it is from the thoughts of what we experience as human.
Ado kengo James ado bikuri ye katke atawangpo ase to tongo ayanga to me kikire ye me uwan base monawe kat.
So if anybody, according to James chapter 3 verse 18, if we read the book of James chapter 3 verse 18, if anybody uses these senses as a Christian, trying to do something to please maybe somebody or please God, this is not in accordance to the wisdom of God, which, if it is not according to the wisdom of God, will lead to destruction.
Kengo James ado bai kori ye katke ide ke wo ben ni fiok me wo mi abene sene kama yongona mko manatoro ni me base set ye katke mi do usong inyong ido ifiok agabasi.
So the wisdom of men will manifest in striving, contention among people. You will see people trying to be better and bigger than the other person. That is how it manifests itself.
Wisdom
of men.
Okay, now if you are me wo worry them.
You will see as somebody will be bitterly envying another person, meaning that when the other person is blessed in whatever that God used to bless the person, the other person will be angry. You will not be happy about the blessings of that person. This is of the world and it's not of God.
If you are me wo me do ke for yak na ba se dio wo mfene ni dio ko isa ay ngo jare sere banga ay nyene o men bose ba se dio wo nko.
So as long as from what we have seen in the character of what the wisdom of men is, as long as they are limited, they are not enough, they are foolishness in the sight of God, and they can lead to destruction. This means that we as Christians are not to operate under the wisdom of men in that sense. We are not supposed to trust nor depend on the wisdom of men, knowing fully well that it is not enough. But what we have from God, which is godly wisdom, as we see in the book of James chapter 3, I want us to read that place. That is the last place that we are going to read. We will see what is the wisdom of God, which is something that God gives to us and which is what we should trust and depend on in our daily practices. James chapter 3, read from verse 15 to 18.
James
Idioto isong oto bugidem oto medemon 16 koro oto nte idiok ufop ye ndomidem odude oto koro oto nte idiok ufop ye ndomidem odude du kenu teme ye kpokpuru idiok ido edu edi eti ibo temi oto de ke nyong edi edi sana ke mbemiso Oyung etie memem. Oyung emi me. Awara ndikom kpe ubok. Oyung oyo yembom yentim free. Edisitore ofreset ye se mi yeneke mbubak. Ndien etum free edinenido ke emem enome enamemem.
If you can understand it very well, this is the wisdom of God. And you will hardly see it in the midst of people that are thinking through the flesh.
Agbeni gadi yong weli ko Bible ko fak ayani ke kuro yung wanga ke ifyo ba seromi.
So people that are patient, people that are long suffering, people that try in much way as they can to make life simple for people. These are people that God said that they have or they possess the wisdom from heaven.
Mono keni ge me mono keni ge nyani me mono kena mang pena basi yung edwo ge fiok me wo ngore basi bo ke mono mi edo mono keni ge fiok basi.
So as long as the wisdom of men is concerned, it's something that will finish here. It starts here and ends here.
Ngboga nyini na ma ya ifyo ga wosni. Ado ngboga ri aga tonga ge mere yung ikuwa mi iri mamanyan.
As long as also it is limited, we are not those people that should be limited of all those things that we see in this world, because we have who is bigger than and greater than them.
Anya ge ngoro ngboy so ngare yung ikuwa mi iri wasen nyini sani fiyo ga basi. Ado anyeke kibotonyan anate nyini beni fiyo basi yung beni nam.
May God help us to be able to spot them out. Whenever we want to do things, we gather the information, the knowledge that is of God, and do things as Christian, as this will help us more than that of men, in Jesus' name.
Amen. Ngwe ba se ding wam nyan nyini kari sat mi fiyo go mission kini ga nyini bigi nam ko oibi nam ko ino basi kemi ro yin akeri wam nyini yin nam ko ino basi ko be frame ka yung abong in Jesus Christ.
We have many of us that have not given their life to Christ.
Wak nyan ake me ya kide me mo ino basi.
Most of them, they are not here.
Waka mo ibara mi.
And it is our duty to help them know that they should give their life to Christ.
Ado iten nyini nam ya mo riyon ke pe na mo ya wo me mo ino.
No matter how wise a man is,
Na wo ntewo pe ni fiyo.
there is a place in the Bible that let us know that God limits us. And even if you don't find that place in the Bible, look at yourself and know that you have limitation in everything.
Ayana te ntewo ise yung riyon ke ni tie ke nyini kitreke. Then aboro kanu koro ke ngore basi nyong dasi dem boke ni membo akero fo ke mekerina.
So God is the final and the last bus stop of everyone of us.
Abasiro battery nyong oro bus stop akero anati.
That is why he has set aside Jesus Christ, his son, to come and die. For our righteousness wouldn't have been enough. Whatever that we would have done in order to please God and save God and be his children wouldn't have been enough. But Jesus Christ bring his righteousness, making us to have it when we submit. That is, you obey his word, his calling.
Ntak bidong bo mekena Jesus abase no Jesus Christ ma to ri pai no nyen. Ibara basu tom ko ke nyen pinam age beke mekeri yen midiong bo nyen. Aro ke basi ke mbo mo ano ikbo yen mo ma to nyen sana.
So in any way that you reject Jesus Christ, you have no excuse, because this is simple enough for you to obey or hearken.
Jesus Christ. So while
the song leader is coming up to give us a hymn or a song that will help us or help you, if you were not baptized, please come out so that you can follow Jesus Christ.
Manaturo confess Christ.
When you do this, God will bless you and you will be added to the body of Christ.